What's up, everybody? Hey, today we're going to dive into the 3 to 5 reasons why military agents fail in the military niche and why you might be one of them. So, hey, welcome to the Moving the Military podcast. As always, I'm the co-founder and co-host, Matt Grudel, and I'm here every week with the co-founder and the hostess with the mostest, Dina Watson.
Yeah, you guys, we say this because we want you to know who you're learning from. After almost 1,000 real estate transactions on my side and over 6,000 agents coached and led on Matt's side, and between the both of us, we have a ton of experience in this. And we also are really good at pattern recognition. And so we're going to share with you guys why we see people who are well-intended, hardworking, salt of the earth human beings, why we see that we are getting these folks into the business and then they're failing, either failing out or not living up to their potential. So Matt, I'm going to kick it to you. Let's talk about the first reason.
I think the first reason agents fail in the military niche, and I'm just going to say it, I think it's the misconception. There's a big misconception about real estate in the military niche, right? And I think that a lot of agents, because they're military affiliated as a veteran, a spouse, a family member, whatever they came from and however they're service oriented, they believe a couple different things, right? And they're the biggest misconceptions. Number one, they believe that it's an easy pipeline. Due to the fact that I did serve and I'm in an installation, people are just going to be flooding my pipeline. And I think the biggest misconception is that a lot of them think that PCS is just ever evolving and there's going to be so many transactions every single season during this time. So they come into the military niche not understanding that the pipeline does not feel that easy, and just because there's PCS season doesn't mean transactions are going to line up for you. And I think that's the biggest misconception. What do you think it is that agents come into, or why they come into the military niche?
Yeah, well, I think we're asking two different questions. So what's the reason they fail? You said the biggest reason you think people fail, which I would agree with. I don't know if it's the biggest, but it's one of them, is they feel like their experience in the service will equate to success with their brothers and sisters in arms in real estate. And unfortunately, that's just not the way that it works. So it can be a conduit, right? Like if you are experienced but don't know how to share and mold that experience to work for you on the real estate side, then you don't really get in front of as many people, which leads to your second problem of like the pipeline doesn't align with PCS cycles. So I would say let's separate the two and start with the experience side. One of the biggest reasons why experience in the military and being good in the military doesn't lead to being great in real estate is because the work ethic that you're taught doesn't work on the entrepreneurial side. And what I mean by that, and you can elaborate on this more.
Wait, I want to jump in. So what you're saying is the grind, embrace the suck, every single day, knife hand, do as I say doesn't work?
It doesn't work. And the other ingredient that you missed is the mission being given to you and the schedule you follow being given to you doesn't work that way in real estate, because you work for and with yourself and you have to create your own mission and your own momentum and drive and your own schedule. So it doesn't work because the way that I think the hard work and the grind part will work, like as long as you know what to grind on and like you know how to do all that stuff. But applying brute force and ignorance doesn't work. Brute force might, but ignorance won't. So let's real quick. Working really hard at the wrong thing is still working really hard at the wrong thing, because showing up every day and reporting to your office, no one in your office is buying a house with you. So showing up to work at your home office on the computer and watching Facebook to see if anybody is going to buy something isn't how you actually get clients. The other piece of that too is you guys are taught to be skeptical and not really go out and put yourself front and center, but you have to network and meet new people in order to sell houses to them. There's so many things in this bucket, but like point number one, your experience in military is a hindrance in some ways, not always, but in some, to your experience and your success in real estate. So we're jumping around here a lot.
But I think you're on a great point. I think one of the biggest things is, we can go down, there's lots of lanes we can go down. We can say, man, one of the biggest things is, and you and I say it all the time, the reason Some of the people in the military launch their career so fast is because they're used to structure and planning and what their day is going to look like. And a lot of the times we get out and say, man, I'm no longer going to do that. And so I struggle in the military niche because I no longer have a schedule. And like you said, in the military, we plug and play into a vision and a mission. Here we have to create our own and hold ourselves accountable versus the metrics that we're held accountable to while we're in the service.
Well, you also have to, you said a second ago, you've got a schedule and a structure and a mission. You have all these things that are given to you and they're just built into your day in the military. And there's, for whatever the reason, there's no switch that's flipped that says I should do this for myself. What we find a lot of times on the failure side is that the people thrive within the structure and the mission and the schedule, but they don't know how to do it for themselves. So they flounder and flop around until they fail out of the business and go back to a 9-to-5 government job and take the very freedom from themselves that they were looking for when they got into entrepreneurship. So I would say biggest reason number one, to recap or to cap this off, and then we'll move on to number two, is that the experience that you have and the success path that you follow in the military and the structure you have is actually the very reason why you fail when you get out, if you can't figure out how to do it for yourself.
I agree with that, because it goes back to something me and you've talked about all the time. A lot of us get out of the real estate or get out of the service, and then we go into real estate because we want freedom, and yet we don't remember that freedom's not free. And then we think we have freedom of our day and freedom of our schedule and freedom from everything, which means we absolutely do nothing when we're in the service, complained and bitched about not having freedom. But that lack of freedom and that structure is what had us succeed.
Yeah, and the other side of the experience thing is, like, a lot of people think that because I was successful as a military service member, this is like a part B to this little number one. They think that because I was successful as a service member, people will automatically trust me as a real estate agent in the military space, because military service here in their head equates to military experience over here. And that's not the case. Just because you served our country doesn't mean someone in the military is going to let you represent them on a transaction.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work out like
Well,
that.
my credibility of being someone that can actually jump out of a plane has nothing to do with the fact that opening a door and talking about concessions or compensation.
Well, yeah, and it also, like, I think once you get in front of somebody, it helps build the trust bridge really fast, but it won't help you get in front of somebody. So, like, there's a step before that you have to figure out in order.
Well, that credibility just opens the door. You can't sit on that the entire time.
Mm-hmm. And you have to realize that a lot of these people watched you do really dumb shit while you were in the service, and they don't want you handling their money. I mean, let's just be honest.
Okay, what would you... I love that, because that's true, right? If you think about it, your friends, the family, the people that you served with, they've seen you take 20 artillery simulators and wrap them around 3 Kim light boxes and throw it up in the air in the middle of the National Training Center. I mean, I don't personally know anybody, but and what, right? And then you're like, hey, no, I mean, got it.
I heard your stories about how much money you blow and how irresponsible you are and how much debt you've been in. And then you strap on a suit and you get a computer and you're like, hi, trust me as your advisor. And they're like, hell no.
They've been with you on TDY and saw how you ate Little Caesars 3 times a day, and now you're saying, hey, trust me with the $500,000 purchase. No. What would failure number 2 be then?
This is funny, like haha funny, more of like a hypothetical conversation here, but I don't know. I think failure number 2 of why any agent fails, but the military folks probably on the failure side, we also know a ton of people who succeed. So we're not talking about the success stories here. We're talking about the failure stories. They don't know how much work it actually is, but I don't think anybody knows how much work it actually is to be in real estate, specifically on the things that have nothing to do with selling a house. Like, I don't know, I'm going on a slight tangent. If you wanted to be an appraiser, you actually have to apprentice, okay? If you wanted to be a doctor, you have to do residency. If you want to be an attorney, you have to go to law school.
You got to be an apprentice to be a plumber, an electrician.
Yeah, in all these other service-based industries, you have to actually experience the job before you sit in the front seat of the job. Real estate isn't like that, and I don't think people understand just how hard it is to get clients, how hard it is to qualify clients that actually can qualify to buy anything, how hard it is to navigate all the business ends of this. Most people get into real estate because they like people and houses, or they had a really bad experience with one or the other. That's probably the top 5% of the things that we do in order to run an efficient business. Like, to be honest, I didn't get into real estate to have to manage my books, and not to get into this, but deal with taxes, which I don't deal with, which is, y'all, I got fired from my accountant not too long ago because I take too long to get them things. Like, I didn't get into that to have to understand AI and marketing and positioning and authority building and social media and networking. Like, the real estate house part is the 5% of the picture in order to be a success. And I think the other reason that military folks fail, and most other agents as well, is because they don't ask enough questions about what they're getting into. And then specifically staying in the military spot, when you couple that with no schedule given to them, no mission given to them, they have no goals that they don't set themselves. They can sit at home and eat bonbons if they want to, and no one's coming to find them, and most of them are rebelling against all of that restriction. It creates a dangerous cocktail when you don't know what the job is, but you also don't know how to manage yourself very well. It creates a recipe for failure. It's pretty bad, actually.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people get into real estate and they don't understand the actual hours it takes, right? The actual amount of work that it takes, right? This is a job, and I love to say it, if you treat real estate like a hobby, it pays you like a hobby, and hobbies cost you money, right? This is a job, and we don't ask enough questions around what the job is. And I think you said something key too. Another reason, and I'll speak from the veteran side, right? Another reason that a lot of veteran or active duty that get into is because of friction. Right? Because it's a friction. It really is. It's friction. It's rubbing you raw, right? Because here's the deal, like, you don't know what you're getting into, and you've been so structured for so long, even though structure is the right answer, you are fighting against it nonstop, building that resentment, building that defensiveness, and it causes friction to where you're like, you know what, man, I'm just going to go do a clock in, clock out job where I know where I have to be, I know what I have to wear, I know what I have to do, and I'm done at the end of the day, versus this, which can consume your life initially.
Well, and you also bring up a good point that most of you don't understand this because it's just been second nature. You've had a level of certainty that I can come and go, do what I want. I don't have to think about this. And I'm certain that I will make this much money on the 1st and the 15th of every month. And we're kind of going on a tangent here, a little bit away from point number 2, but there's no certainty in this until you create it for yourself. There's no consistency. There's no predictability. Like, there's none of those things. And most of you guys don't understand that that was actually part of why you succeeded, was because you didn't have all these other things back here to worry about, where now in real estate you do. So, and then you also said something that could actually be point number 3. Can I
jump in? Let's do it.
God, most of you don't know how the hell to deal with normal people.
Wait a minute. I know, and I know that's such a great point, because everybody that's on this call, whether you are active duty, a veteran, reserve, no matter what, no matter if you served or a spouse or whatever, you've all said it. Man, I hate them civilians. And them damn civilians, like, everybody that you look at that's not in uniform reminds you of somebody at CIF where you're turning in your gear, where you're trying to get out and you just despise that person. Well, yeah, we don't know how to deal with the normal civilians. We don't know how to communicate in a way that's not leadership or authority driven or military driven or rank, position, title driven.
I was going to say that. You don't know how to deal with people who don't have to listen to you and who don't have to follow what you say.
And we fight against starting at the bottom. Like, literally, like, I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, there's so many job opportunities I had when I got out, and I was like, yeah, I'm not starting at the bottom of the totem pole again, man. I'm a retired CSM, man. It ain't happening. Like, I'm not starting there. Yeah. And so, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know how to be bad at something. I don't even think we need to say the top 3 to 5. There's just a list. Is like, I don't know how many we're going to end up on, but I think, the third point could be you have not had to understand the types of communication necessary to have influence over another person and control a conversation when they don't have to listen to you. They don't have to trust what you say. They don't have to listen. They're going to second guess everything. They don't have to follow what you tell them to. I did a video the other day, and I haven't released it yet for reasons I won't mention on here, just because. But I did this video the other day where I was like, my favorite part of real estate is that people come to you and they say, I want to work with you and I believe in you and like you've been referred to me and I know you got a lot of expertise and you've been doing this for a long time and you spend hours upon hours upon hours with people explaining all of these different things and then they don't listen to any of it. They don't follow any of your advice. They do everything you said not to do. Everything you told them was going to happen and then they acted surprised that it happened. And most of you who have lived in a world of like everybody has to follow the rules. Everybody knows the game that they're playing. You can't step outside of the SOPs and the structure, and they have to listen to you. And then you're thrown into an environment where the rules are made up and the points don't matter. And you're like, what the hell is this? That's normal civilian life. And you can't handle it. And you don't know how to function in it.
And here's the thing that you know, yeah, we've completely, so everybody listening, we've
lost the plot.
Yeah, we've derailed the conversation like we always, it's still reasons why you fail. And I guarantee you, like I said at the beginning, some of you are sitting in this. I think one of the biggest failures that I had, the biggest friction point I had was fucking emotions, man. Like literally sitting across with somebody that has a feeling about somebody that, like, after 21 years in service and doing all these things and like, I'm not here for your emotions, man. We're here to execute. There's an outcome. There's a mission. There's a vision. This is where we're going. Here's the path. And you're introducing emotions. And here's the thing. The emotions from the people on the other side for me was a fucking minefield. I literally was trying to navigate a minefield of like just trying to get to the point. And yeah, it took years to get over that. But yeah, you come out structured in a way and then you have to deal with emotions and it throws us off our game. It makes it resentment and defensiveness and internal frustration. And like, man, I would just have that's, look at here, Mr. Byron Seller, just go to parade rest. This is what we're going to do. Right, face, sign the contract. Let's go. No. That doesn't happen.
It doesn't work. And real estate transactions are emotional. Like people make decisions for reasons that are not logical at all. I mean, I've had that in the recent past where I was like, excuse me, what? And they're in their stuff and you have to navigate more of people's emotions than you do their logic in a real estate transaction. And you'll see people blow stuff up for things that makes no sense. And guess what? It still ain't happening and we still have to figure out how to move on. And yeah, we've totally lost the plot on this podcast.
Well, I'll bring it back because here's one of the things too. I think, and I'll bring it back from the human component, from the friction, from the emotions, from the structure, because that is actually part of it, right? You know, me and you talk all the time that when you're dealing with the military client, it's not always the home buying, it's also the human component. And so we've kind of
it's your brother's sister's cousin who has an opinion, and it's all these other people who are not actually.
When I was at Fort Leonard Wood, my brother's sister, cousin's uncle's dog's cat did this in 19.
Well, that or they're actually chirping in their ear during your current transaction, where you don't know who all the players are because they're hidden, and then you get people who call you about something. You're like, where the hell did that come from? And you can't. You know, the other thing too, I think that's in this.
You mean you're talking about the sniper on the grassy knoll that's literally sniping out and giving information that you have no idea that's out there?
Yeah, well, and the other thing too is that you are used to people trusting you. Those people don't trust you. They trust their brother's cousin who's chirping in their ear. And you know, the other thing that you can't do is discredit that person because you don't necessarily know what influence they have over your clients. There's so many minds in the minefield of this topic, but yeah, it's just you don't know how to navigate the human emotional uncertainty, changing opinions, changing missions all the time. We hate this house. Can we go to this one? Well, you're under contract for that one. But yeah, but what if we could bail on this one and go over here? And you're like, what are we doing?
Well, and it's the internal, the human component is internal and external. And so that's a reason we fail, right? I think another reason we fail, and I'll bring it back to something more really real estate specific. I think that the reason a lot of them fail is because, and me and you coach this all the time, well, I'm military friendly or I service military. There's a lack of specialized knowledge, a lack of specialized positioning. They're just trying to service every military client, which means they're servicing no one. And because they say so broad and so general, nobody finds them, nobody talks to them, nobody actually sees them as the authority or as credible as they once were.
Yeah, and you also have to realize that when you exit the military, you exit that close group of people that like would buy into whatever you were selling. And now you're in a group of people who don't really know you and you have to prove yourself all over again, which is hard for y'all to do. I mean, it's hard for any agent. I'm not saying this is a you guys thing. It's hard for everybody.
Oh, man, I remember, man, I could walk into an auditorium of 300 people, and as soon as I walked in, everybody stood up, went to parade rest, and got quiet. I walk into a first-time home buyer seminar with people, and they're on their phone, they're eating their food, their kids are running crazy, they're barely paying attention to me, right? It's the hair on the back of my neck is standing up, right? Like, that's a different part of it, right? That trust and credibility you have, but it's that specialized area, Dean. I really want you to focus on that. So how important is it for someone to be specialized so that they don't fail in the military niche because they're just too broad, too general?
Yeah, so this is kind of a trick question, but I'll give you the trick and then we'll keep moving with the question. The trick to the question is that when you're brand new, you do need to service whatever comes your way because I like to say you're outlasting your own attrition. Most real estate agents, I think it's like 80 something percent, get out in the first couple of years because they can't make it. Like they can't make ends meet, they can't figure it out, it's too hard, whatever. So if you're trying to outlast the attrition, take whoever you can at the beginning, but work your way towards specializing in either a part of town. Like there was an idea I had years ago that I never ran through with, was called selling Sango. So I live in Clarksville. Sango is the highest average price point, officers, retirees, etc. And no one else can afford to live here, to be honest, because the price point's about 100 grand higher than 20 minutes north. And I had this whole idea of a brand called Selling Sango, where the only thing on this social media platform was just buying and living in this like 5-mile radius.
Yeah, this is the selling sunset of the military installation.
Yeah, so you could either do a super hyper fixated segment or section geographically and specialize there, or you could say I specialize, like my example from a class we did yesterday was I'm going to say I'm specializing in special operations families who are retiring out of fifth group and staying at Campbell and want to move on to their forever homestead, like the land. I could do that. The point of it is that if you don't work your way into a specialization, all of the new players entering real estate who were in the military, which there are a lot of them, are now making you neutral, meaning that you don't look any or appear any different to the consumer than anybody else. And so it neutralizes your authority over time if you don't specialize. So the reason to specialize is because those lanes are totally vacant. Like I looked a few weeks ago, even at Fort Campbell, there's no one, and I mean literally no one, who has planted a military flag in the ground that all they do in real estate is the military. There's not a single, there's 2,000 some odd agents here, and ChatGPT and the interwebs could not find a single person who said they only service military. There were many of them that also had military content, but there was not a single person who had niched down enough to say, I only work with military families. Because it feels scary, so people don't want to do it because they don't want to lose business or whatever. But unfortunately for us, the way these search engines work and even the AI engines work is they're looking for specialties. They're looking to bring a solution to the conversation in their phone, and they can only do that when they can search through all the content and see that you specialized. So it makes your business easier over time. It makes you not have to keep re-earning the trust of people. It also makes creating content easier. Like I gave the example on a previous podcast of your job as a real estate agent every day is to wake up and look for a job because you're self-employed, which means most of the time you're unemployed, right? And so if I'm looking for a job and I'm applying on Indeed to every job, I'm probably not going to get a call back. But if I specialize and I was an HR director in my past life and I'm applying to HR jobs, my resume matches the job, therefore I'm hired. So I know we're going on a tangent a little bit in that.
No, but I think you're absolutely right. I mean, as you start out, any business that comes to you, you absolutely have to take, right? You have to outlast your attrition, right? I love the way that you said that. But as you're doing that, you're building toward a specialty. Like if I'm in I'm in Fort Carson, right? If I'm in the Fort Carson area, or let's say I'm in the Fort Bragg area, and I know I'm going to have an ass load of people retiring there, well, I may want to specialize in retirement, which means that, okay, I need to know what's the difference in buying power with pension versus active pay. How does my benefit, affect funding fee, right? All those different things, that's how I'm a specialist, and I'm talking about those things. So I'm attracting that buyer. I'm not chasing them.
Well, you said you're talking about these things in attraction, and I want to make sure that we put a pin in this. You're talking about them on the internet. Your content is solutions to that small group of people's problems. And that's how that content's getting served to them to be attracted to you. So what we don't mean is that you're just talking about it with clients. You actually, the other reason specialty is really important is because it tells you exactly what you should be posting content about. Because you're posting content that's answers to the problems these people have. And everybody who's in a different bucket has a different problem. And so it gives you pretty clear lane to run down on what problems you're solving.
One, if you stay general, we love to say it all the time, and I love that you said that problem. If you stay general and you stay broad, you're not able to go deep enough in each of those buckets or one of those buckets to actually be known as the problem solver.
Yeah.
You're just literally snorkeling above the problems, which means you're neutral, and neutral in the military, and you know I love to say it.
Neutral gets neutralized.
Yeah, neutralize. It causes doubt. Okay, so we talked about the human component, right? We went down that bunny trail for a while, right? About how that's a failure. We talked about specializing, right? How military agents fail in the niche because they don't specialize. Why else do you see, in all of our experience, military agents fail in the military niche? I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, but let's get specific to give something.
Do you have one in mind?
I mean, I could go down a bunch of different ones. I mean, I could say that they have no authority positioning. Right?
We kind of covered that.
We kind of talked about that specialist. I think the other thing too is inconsistency. Like they're not consistent in their message. They have a different message every week.
That's kind of the same thing though. Something that you said, and this is how you guys know that we don't script these. Like we literally are coming from experience in these conversations. You said inconsistent, something that I notice a lot, even within myself as change happens. So I'm speaking to those of you who are getting out of the service and into real estate, or people who are military spouses getting in for the first couple of years. So if you're experienced this, you may still be experiencing this and you just don't know what to call it. I think that in the first couple of years that someone gets into real estate, specifically people who've had as much predictability as you guys have, they are in this internal identity rebellion that causes inconsistency in their actions, in how much they want to show up, how much vacation they want to take. They toy around. So I'll say inconsistency, but for this particular reason. They toy around when things get hard with just taking a military contract. You're literally at war with yourself for years after you get out of the service quietly. And that causes massive inconsistency in whatever you do next if you go into entrepreneurship or self-employment. If you go to another job, it doesn't matter because you have to clock in and out and whatever. But the people who get out of the service and into real estate are literally internally, what I have noticed, at full scale war within themselves for all these different reasons. Identity, no one listens to me, I don't know who I am anymore, I'm bad at this. There's all these things we've talked about. But if I just put the inconsistency bow on it, all of that stuff causes you to be on this roller coaster ride of consistency that honestly makes you fail out or tap out before you see success because you can't figure yourself out.
No, I think you're right. I mean, you're talking about identity behavior, and you know I love to say it all the time. I make words up, right? So there's a difference in being a real estate entrepreneur, and there's a difference in being an intrapreneur. In the service, we're intrapreneurs. We have a left and right limit, and we run willy-nilly, and we do all our stuff in between that left and right limit. When you get into real estate, you have to be consistent because there is no left and right limit. Like literally you run willy-nilly everywhere, and it's an identity fight. It's a behavior fight. It's almost like you don't ghost responsibilities, you submarine them. You pop up, you hit them, you go back under. You pop up, you hit them, but that's also and when you do that, when you submarine, well, that's what your business does. Your business gets on the same submarine roller coaster. So, yeah, there is a lack of consistency, and it's inconsistent but it's an identity and a behavior fight on being what an actual entrepreneur role is. What does freedom actually look like, right? Why am I fighting against the structure? And yet, for me, and you know this, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm an intrapreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, but inside of that, I got to have a left and right limit. You give me a left and right limit, I execute all day long.
Yeah, and just to clean that up a little bit, the entrepreneurial conversation is I'm pushing the limits. I want to create something from something that doesn't exist. I want to run my own show. I don't need a plan. I don't need someone else's vision. I am good just with wide open spaces. Intrapreneur is I will run wide open within these lanes and someone else needs to give me the limits. If I have the limits, I'm a thoroughbred racehorse down that track. But if I don't have the limits, my racehorse is running off the cliff.
I'm bowling a 300. Put the bumpers up. That's it. Like literally, I'm bowling a 300, and everything I'm doing, put the bumpers up. You take the bumpers off, I don't know where I'm gonna be, right? But that's the thought process on it. That's where consistency comes from.
Yeah, I'd say those are the biggest ones. We could probably ramble on forever, but I would say that if we're looking for like the 3 to 5 reasons that we see, the most common reasons that we see people get out of the military and fail at this, I'd say we've covered most of them. Is there anything that you think we haven't?
No, I think that I would leave everybody with this as we close it out. Hey, when you think about it, I wrote this down. A couple different things that I would challenge you to do. Number one, have a deep understanding of the military lifestyle once people are out, right? Not just the home component, the human component. Number two, man, just be consistent like we talked about out there with your identity, with your behavior, with your actions. And the third thing is, as you get specific, just really pour into that positioning. Talk about those things so you can build your self-authority, whether, like you said, it's geographic or with a specific thing. Like, lots of ways to fail, but there's more ways to win when you actually assess and realize why people are failing.
Well, and I think you said something that's important is when I see why people fail, I can like notice it and avoid it instead of accidentally stepping in it and then having to come out of it on the other side.
Well, we're talking about why we failed and the different things we've done. I guarantee you there's people, like I said at the beginning, there's people watching this right now that are like, that's me. Now the mirror is held up. I see it. What action can I take? Well, there it is.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to avoid any of these things. You can just get out of them faster. Like we've gone through personally all of the things we just told you. Like this has been a personal testimony just wrapped up and disguised as a podcast. But I think that the goal is not to not have these things happen because after however many years in service, these are all going to happen to you. The goal is how do I recover and jump out of that hole faster?
Yeah.
Because
how do I become aware? How do I own it? What's the adjustment I make and the actions I'm taking after?
Yep. So with that, we're going to wrap this up, you guys. We're happy that you're here with us. Sorry that we lost the plot and got super passionate about something.
It happens.
Sorry, it happens. And we'll see you on the next one.